This is Christian Scott Atunde Adjua, and I'm sending love from a distance. Hi, I'm Christian Scott Atunde Adjua, sonic architect, composer, producer. I also own and operate a record label and an app company called Stretch Music. I just wanted to take this moment to tell you guys a little bit about how I first fell in love with the trumpet, my instrument. So when I first got the horn, I was about 11 years old. My mother and my grandmother bought me a Bach TR 300 trumpet. And I initially didn't have much love for it. I asked for the instrument, but it kind of sat there in the case for a couple months. And I'll never forget, a group of friends came over and they all were boasting with their instruments and having a good time. So I went inside and grabbed my horn out of its case and ran to meet them. And when I got to the front door, I hit the bell of my horn and almost closed half of the bell. Just huge dent, it was a mess. And I'll never forget getting inside and speaking to my mother, and she was really upset about what happened, and she told me that I was going to have to learn to play with that dent in the bell. I guess it was sort of a gift and a curse, but I will never forget trying to get the first notes out of the instrument with the bell almost closed. I could hear how weak and how fragile the sound was, and just because of this dent completely changed and affected what the sound sounded like. And I guess, a big component of it was, I think I found the humanity in the instrument in that way. When it went through an injury, how it changed it, how it was broken but not broken. And I think that's really the first moment where I truly fell in love with the instrument. Pretty much from that moment on, I started to practice 5, 6, 7 hours every day for almost the next decade, just trying to understand the inner workings. Why the horn sounded the way it did in certain areas of the instrument, how to control the timbre of the instrument, all these different things. So I guess the love for it really came out of it enduring an injury and me trying to figure out a way to make an injured horn express as much humanity as I have. And that's sort of where the love comes from.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Love from a Distance, where we effort to turn away from the chaos in the world and focus on the love in our hearts. I just have to take a moment to acknowledge not only the power of that musical performance, but the words that Christian Scott Atunde Adwa spoke about humanity just touched my soul. There's the idea that we are broken, but really are we? We've all been taught that we're broken vessels, but if we are careful to love the flaws in ourselves and others, we can tap into a transformative way of being, just as he did with his instrument, a way that empowers us to hear the music, see the beauty, and feel the love in every moment in life. So we are so grateful once again for the award-winning trumpeter, Christian Scott, for opening today's episode with love. His new album, Axiom, will be released August the 28th. That's 2 Fridays from now. So mark your calendars and let's support this gem of a talent. We want to thank you for being here with us in this moment of humanity. I'm Tina Lifford with my friend Iyanla Vanzant, whose honoring of humanity is felt every single time she offers up one of her deep bows. Hey, Iyanla. Yes, I feel it every time, Iyanla, every single time. I just love it.
Deep bow, I was so touched by Christian's story of the horn. I don't think people would stop to think of an instrument being wounded and the kind of the care and love that he took. I mean, he kissed his horn,
Yes. Yes.
If we would just do that to each other. I think this pandemic has made us so mean. I just bow to us. I bow to you.
Yeah.
I bow to us.
Yeah.
Thank Christian.
I have to tell you that I loved his story and his relationship with his instrument, because he helps us all to remember that everything is alive. Everything is coursing with aliveness. And I remember years ago, I was on the tennis court and I twisted my ankle. And I don't know where this wisdom came from, but for the first time, I stopped, I grabbed my ankle, and I told my ankle I was sorry. And I kissed it. Like I was that flexible back then. But, but I have to tell you that it taught me how important it is to really give that kind of care to ourselves. That when we hurt ourselves, whether it's emotionally or not, to take a moment and actually administer love to that moment to ourselves.
I name everything so that I can have a relationship. My house's name is Villanova, which means a new vision. My car's name is Glorious. My bed is named Bima. That's my bed's name. I name everything. My plants have names because I'm in relationship with these things. These things are in my life. So I think everything has to have a name. My favorite chair is Chloe. My sofa in my prayer room is grace. And,
My every house that I have owned that I've lived in myself is named Grace. Grace, and then Grace 1, Grace 2, and
yeah.
So
I name everything.
Yeah.
I just name everything. And the other thing I do, where everybody who knows me has, been close to me, I talk to my food.
To your food. Okay,
Before I
let's hear
eat it,
that. What does that sound
I
like?
say, hello, you little chicken wing. I'm just gonna love up on you. Yum, 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 yum. And my grits, whatever I'm eating, I talk to it, because again, I think relationships have to be works of art.
Absolutely.
And if you're
Absolutely.
eating something, you're in relationship with it. If you're sleeping with something, you're in relationship with it.
Yes. Hey, if you're breathing, you are in relationship. And to start acknowledging that is to sort of discover a whole new layer or realm of what that actually means.
When I open my door, I say, hey, Villanova, mama's home. And then I had Glory. I had a car. Her name was Glory. And people kept bumping into her. I had a nick in the door. Last week I went to the supermarket. Somebody knocked my rear quarter panel off. So I said, okay, Glory, I'm done with you, because the next thing is a truck or a bus running into me. So that happened on Wednesday. Friday, I took her to the dealer and I got Glorious.
Okay. All right.
I told Glory, I said, you've been good to me. But I don't know. Because I pay attention to those things.
Yes.
So Glory is gone, and now I have Glorious. I was created to make his praise glorious.
So Iyanla, I'm curious. When you were younger, like in high school or even grade school, did people find you odd, or did people?
Absolutely. I was a freaking nut. But it wasn't just people. The world found me, thank God. The world found me to be creative and intelligent, and I knew how to play the game. But in my family, the Latin, I was too Black for the Latin people. I was too Black for the Native American people. I was too smart for the dumb people. I was just different. And they used to always say to me, who do you think you are? You that. Yeah. But I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Because now that I have the freedom to be who I am, I'm just that. And I think one of the greatest things that happened to me was when they changed my name. When I was 29, I went through a major initiation, and my name was changed so that I could throw off the energy that was, programmed into me. People don't understand the importance of a name. The name is the nature. And every time you call the name, you are re-educating the spirit. So, when we be calling people boo-boo and foo-foo, and what are you telling that spirit? So my birth name was Rhonda, which meant great mother. And they changed it to Iyanla, which means great mother. So I have the same beautiful nature, but
essence,
energy, elevated the energy.
But Iyanla is so much more elegant, and queenly than Rhonda,
And it also gives me a different level of responsibility. I have to live into the energy of that name. So many of us have powerful names, but we don't live into the energy of our name. If we could just do that. But particularly us as people of colors, we don't know diddly snit about our culture, and we just keep assimilating into this crazy world that is killing us. It's killing us.
Well, but you know what, that the part about that is the gift and opportunity is that people like you, people who care, people who do have that information, you get to share it so that those that haven't had it haven't had the ability or opportunity to run into that information gets it from you. And I think that you are, I noticed that, that, I tend to say affirming things. And when I say something affirming to you, I need you to know that it is absolutely coming from my heart and soul.
I believe.
Yeah, truly, because
well, I want to tell you this quick story, and I can receive that. First of all, Iyanla is not a name; it's a title. You never go to Nigeria and find somebody named Iyanla. The Iyanla is a name given to the mother of a village. She's the spiritual guardian, the cultural custodian of the village. So I was supposed to go to Nigeria in May of 90-something, I think 3, and I didn't get to go. And the Iyanla of my family's village in Ijesha, they were waiting for me to come because she said she had something to give me. I didn't go. And the next year I went, but the Iyanla had already passed away. And what she left me was what they call an ogogo, which is a bell used to summon the ancestors. Her bell was over 1,000 years old, and she gave me that bell. And they had it for me. So when I went through that initiation to receive that bell, that's also when my name was changed, because they said I'm no longer just a citizen. I am now an Iyanla, and that I have a village, and I have to be a custodian of the culture and the spirit of the village.
Yeah,
so I know people run around naming their children Iyanla, but they don't understand the responsibility that they're putting on that child.
Yeah. Do you still have the bell? In your home, yeah, exactly. Well, the reason I ask is that maybe you can share the bell with us in one of these episodes. I would love to see it and hear it.
I would do that. It has its own special place. It lives in its own special place.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. Okay, so
we gonna have a show by ourselves.
Indeed. So listen, really quick and short. Shout out so that we can bring our wonderful guests on.
Well, Brooklyn's in the house, the Boogie Down Bronx. I see Annapolis is here, B-More is here, the ATL is here. NOLA is in the house. I didn't get to NOLA this year, No Essence Music Festival. Cincinnati is in the house. I think Trinidad, Elmont, New York, Dayton is here, Stone Mountain, GA, San Leandro, Charlotte's in the house, San Antonio, Nairobi, Kenya, Woodbridge, New Jersey, Indianapolis, Montgomery, Alabama, Bed-Stuy. I know Brownsville is here. Houston is here. Yeah, so Richmond, Glendale, Tucker, Georgia. Now, where in the world is Tucker, Georgia? I ain't never heard of that in my life. New Jersey's here, Jacksonville, Florida, Harrisburg, Boogie Down Bronx, Harlem's in the house, so we can get this party started.
Okay, all right. Well, today our guest and champion of love is the talented Erika Alexander. Her magnificent acting career spans from her iconic role as Maxine Shaw. We all know her from the 1990s hit Living Single. On to the current roles like Detective LaToya in the brilliant psychological thriller Get Out. But off screen, did you know that Erika is an entrepreneur, and perhaps more importantly, she is a tried and true activist. Cannot wait to talk to her about that. And as a board member of Vote, Run, Lead, and One Fair Wage, she is on a mission to affect greater equity, inclusion, and diverse representation in media, technology, and electoral politics. Wearing the hat of producer, her newest project is Good Trouble. It's a documentary on the life and career of the beloved freedom fighter and Congressman John Lewis. And so from Good Trouble, here's a short clip of the John Lewis we all knew and loved.
My philosophy is very simple. When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, say something, do something, get in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble.
He was always different than every member of Congress. Everybody knew what he had done. He was John Lewis.
We're marching today to dramatize to the world that hundreds and thousands of Negro citizens denied the right to vote.
Congressman Lewis gave us the blueprint to organize and to legislate.
The reason why he's effective as a leader is because he's lived it.
We made a decision to march in an orderly, peaceful, nonviolent fashion from Selma to Montgomery.
You are ordered to disperse. This march will not continue.
I was hit in the head. My knees went from under me. I thought I was going to down the bridge.
If John Lewis, as a 19, 20-year-old, wasn't doing what he did, I would not be here.
Hello. Yes. Hey, Erika, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. I'm so pleased with this invitation. Two of the strongest, most beautiful people in the world that just happen to be Black women have invited me to hang out with them for a Sunday afternoon. I must be doing something right. So thank you.
You've been doing something right, just as a demonstration of excellence in your craft.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I see you, Miss Erika, I am so proud. I mean, I watch. You know, I have a television in every room, so anytime I hear the youngins on, I go put it on so y'all can get the numbers. But you have always been a demonstration of excellence in front of and behind the camera, and I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
I appreciate who you are.
Thank you. I'm gonna do a deep bow. You know, it may not feel like here's my deep bow, a forehead all up in it. And thank you. You know, I really appreciate that. Again, I don't take it for granted. And I have adored you for a very long time, Iyanla. I've read your books. I followed your career. Miss Tina is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best artists in the business. The fact that Queen Sugar knows that and that she's able to put that on display and show people how it's done. We talk about Meryl Streep and all their stuff. She's ours. Yeah. And I just really appreciate all that you've done to lift the game in that area, and also what you're doing now with healing and Black women. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I just have to say, so Erika, if you don't know this, Erika was in our season 1 of Queen Sugar.
Yes, you are.
She came in as the ex-girlfriend of Hollywood, and Vi did not know anything about her, and she shows up. And I have to tell you, Erika, I think you know it from that night, but that night, we're out in, the woods of Eckerd.
Bayou, yes.
And what you brought to that character, I just got to chill, in reliving it in my mind. It was for those of us who love the art of acting. I think that evening was such a wonderful opportunity for us all to be in it at a level of commitment that, lives in my memory very fondly. So I just needed to say that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I remember that evening very much, because then after that I flew to do Get Out. And it was a total mind switch. Oh, absolutely. It was like being dunked in like a real intense thing, and then having to get out of that and do something totally different. But the reason
do some comedy. Go do some comedy, because you were funny. Yes.
Mm-hmm. But I just thank you, because you guys act the hell out of that show, and you bring a whole other
Get
show.
Out too.
You
He sure did. He sure called my name.
It's true. It's true. Go on and call Iyanla to get you out of this. Absolutely.
They call me for the most broke down craziness in the world. Y'all need Iyanla. I'm like, oh, please, they need Jesus. Like
No, I tell people now, I said, if you got beef, don't call the White House. Don't call Iyanla. Look in the mirror. Go on and get, I always say that. Yeah. But, we all think you can fix everything, Iyanla.
I know. Well, it's the spirit. Erika, can I ask you, did you
Yes,
always know you were going to be an actor? Did you always know that? Or did it just happen?
No, not at all. In fact, I'm untrained for the most part. I learn as I go. And I was discovered when I was 14 in a basement theater called Freedom Theater, New Freedom Theater in Philadelphia.
Oh,
and I had gotten there. Yeah, there you go.
New Freedom Theater.
Yes. Johnny Allen Jr. was trying to do what he was trying to do.
Philly. I practiced.
Iyanla, how do you know every doggone thing?
I lived in Philly.
You did? What part of Philly did you live in? I was Mount Airy.
That's Philly, 49th and Pine.
Okay, wow. Okay, so I got there because I came from Arizona, Flagstaff, Arizona. Both my parents were orphans. My father was an itinerant preacher. I lived the first 11 years of my life in a hotel called Starlight off of Route 66. By the time we got there, it was a total culture shift because my parents, who were Church of God in Christ, Kojic, all that. That's not a way to make a living because he's also itinerant. So he not only did the revivals on reservations and all that other stuff, but he would come in and then after they took the building fund and the First Ladies fund and all that, he'd get a little envelope and it might be $60 for a whole week of preaching. But this was just after the 60s and all the assassinations that the Lutherans, the German Lutherans of the mountains in Arizona wanted to find new voices and new preachers, and they invited him in and they found him to be very charismatic and blow their minds and sort of take them out of their little sort of stodgy, the way they did things, their methodology. And they sent him, there you go. Yes. My father sings, yeah. And he blew their minds. They sent him to the Lutheran Theological Seminary in Philadelphia to become a Lutheran pastor. And that got us healthcare. That got us into, but more importantly, suddenly I was young, gifted, and Black. And that was the thing that blew my mind.
In Philly?
So, yeah, in Philly.
North Philly.
That's right. I went to an audition. It was a 6-week program. And in the 5th week, a movie came to town. It was a Merchant Ivory film. They told us all, you should just audition. Even if you're not interested, you should have the experience. I showed up, I was second in line, and I went through that whole day. And after several auditions that week and thousands of girls from the tri-state area, they chose me when the dust cleared, and I got my career out of it. And that's how I got into acting.
Wow.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
God is on the move.
That's beautiful. Well, I have to tell you that as I know you as an actress, and yet in the last, I would say maybe 5 to 7 years, I've become aware of this other side of you. And, when I was introduced to Good Trouble, can I tell you that I love that documentary?
Oh,
I love it. I learned from it. Yeah. I found myself leaning into it because John Lewis is just such, he's such a rich character. So I'd love to hear how that project came to your table and just where you are in your activism and with this show.
Sure thing. Well, the origin story is, at least for me, was I campaigned in Georgia with Congressman Lewis, Stacey Abrams, and Ayanna Pressley in 2016. It was for the Hillary Clinton campaign, but that would not be the first time. In fact, going to my dear love, Iyanla, we campaigned for Hillary Clinton in South Carolina with Maya Angelou and all. Remember that? In 2008. In 2008. Yes. And I stayed there. I stayed with the campaign, and I became her most traveled surrogate. So she sent me, and I told everybody. There were people who asked me, "Well, what made you make your choice?" I said, "Well, I'm actually courage of my conviction. I always really liked and really adored Hillary Clinton and what she stood for. But I said, once I got there and saw all those Black women, I was in. I was like, I said, these are people I admire. I know." Are asking different types of questions. So then through the years, I stayed there, but I got a chance to campaign with Congressman Lewis. And it was Stacey and I and Ayanna. We had the privilege to travel around Georgia and get a lesson from him about how to be young, gifted, and Black in the South in American politics. So it was Mr. Lewis who was really helped open the door to be doing his documentary, because I didn't know that real world work and access would lead to making his documentary. Turns out that Rachel O'Neill, who is his constituent service rep, knew that I had started Color Farm Media, which is my production company with Ben Arnon. And she said, you know what, there's this project and I want you to help with. I said, I'd do anything I could So she was our conduit to the congressman. And then we, of course, needed to find a director. And Dawn Porter, who directed it, we approached her and asked if she was interested. She said, you know, I got to tell you something. I've already started another documentary, and it's about John Lewis. So I didn't look at your materials or anything. And Ben said to her, you know, can we do this together? And she said, yeah, that makes sense. And we were on our way. And what you see is John Lewis, Good Trouble. That's the thing we did.
Good Trouble. Good. You know what? I can't get through the scenes, the beating. It just tears me. I can't do it. Every time I see it, whether it's in this documentary or wherever, I just can't fathom human beings treating other human beings like that. And I'm a product of busing. You know, I was spit on and called a nigger and a monkey. But I didn't get the dogs, the water. I'm weeping down on the floor. So I said, well, I got to get myself together so I can see
fast forward it. No, it's rough, because if you're any type of empath, which you are, you take it viscerally. It's not something that you're watching, you're experiencing it. And I think Black people overall, we've taken so much, and we're taking so much in with the social media, the beatings, the Karens, all the assault. The thing about him, he gets to be a superhero in his story. He actually does emerge from the story of being a sharecropper and the types of things he had to endure as sort of the living example of resilience and the focused sort of love for the beloved community, that he was able to lay his life down as collateral for everyone to prove to the point that he hated racism, hated discrimination, and he'd rather die than live in that world. And I think that that's beautiful. And overall, hopefully people got to also learn about his life as a congressperson, his wife, Lily, and also his son, John Miles. Yes, and his family, that preaching to the chicken story. It's real.
Yeah. You know, I appreciated that as I was watching, I was having the thought, I wonder if his approach, his nonviolent approach, in the end, has served us more than we thought, more than the militant side thought. And then President Clinton actually said that watching John Lewis's life has made him question his own perspective. And that was a beautiful statement in the documentary, because I wrestle with, you know, if you talk about change, I wrestle with, you know, do you stand and actually be present and take what they give you in order to really sort of highlight the abuse that needs to change? Or do you go in and meet that kind of hate with more hate? It's a question that lives in my soul. I'd love for you ladies to share your perspective.
Well, go ahead, Erika.
Sure.
Because I'm a whole Black Panther.
And I think I am too. You know, I'm glad I don't have to do what he did, at least not yet. But I think I stand inside of a peaceful confrontation no matter what. I'm trying to look for other sort of ways out. But then again, he was tested. He was put in the worst situations. But you know what, Tina, they didn't have a choice. They were outgunned. They were outmanned. They were so all they had was this reliance on the philosophy of nonviolence. They had just been taught that by James Lawson. And James Lawson was as young as they are. They were all young. When he wrote to Martin Luther King as a 17-year-old teenager who was being discriminated against, he thought he could join that class action suit until he thought twice and said, well, my family is on this 100-acre farm and I don't want to put them in danger. So instead, he and other students like him created SNCC, and they went down and they desegregated those lunch counters. Right. They put themselves in harm's way. What else were they going to do? And so we have all these other options because they didn't have that option. And he says, I gave my attacker, the person who was coming to kill me, a chance to change every time I looked into their eye. And guess what? It might have happened sooner because we have social media, but then it took them going across that bridge and all those attacks for people to suddenly join the cause, the faith leaders to join up, crossed the bridge the second time, and then that civil rights movement got them to the passage of the Civil Rights Bill in 1965. We didn't know in 2013 it would be gutted by the Supreme Court. So in a way, we're on that bridge. We're still on that bridge. And what are we with? There you go.
And the dogs are waiting for us. The thing is that we've become so complacent and so, forgive me, I'm saying this as an elder, so lazy. We are so, I don't understand. I'm telling you, the Black Panther in me don't understand why we ain't in the streets right now. Why we are not in the streets right now. And I'm gonna make a sign that's real simple. I don't want you. Get out. I don't want you. You understand? And now, but the beauty of it, this is the beauty of it for me, Erika. The beauty of it is that so many things that were hidden and secretive are now coming out. I mean, I watched this thing the other night about the Electoral College, and people have been whispering about the Electoral College for so long, and now it's being revealed. It's being revealed why they're taking mailboxes off the streets. All of this stuff has always been going on, and all of us old head revolutionaries, we knew it, but now we can speak out about it. And my prayer is that we don't only speak about it, but that we do the good trouble. We do the necessary trouble. And I'm down for taking to the streets. Now, I can't march like I used to, but I'll bring you some water and fry you some chicken.
So what is your prayer, Erika?
Crazy. Well, first you'd have to talk to the chicken, I think. But, you know, if you look at it,
she'd have to name it. She'd have to name it first.
When I'm seasoning
she'd have to name it first.
Put it in some
she's going to name the chicken, and then she's going to talk to it.
And I'm going to pray on it.
I'm going to pray. Okay, great. Before you execute it. So it's funny because I keep thinking about the point of view from the food, and they're like, oh my God. They're like, here she comes. Yes. What did you say, Tina? I'm sorry.
What is your prayer? You know, what do you hope for? What do you want to see?
Well, listen, I mean, I know John Lewis. He thought that the most powerful nonviolent tool for change in the movement, in any movement, was the right to vote. He worked every day to defend it. He worked hard to protect it for everyone. And he saw it as a cornerstone of a living democracy. And I think that Iyanla's right. We're lazy because we left it to be nurtured by other people. And then we complain about the results. When people talk about 3 strikes, you're out and all these things. I said, but where were you when they were voting for it? No, I didn't. Well, that's what you get. And democracy is a moving target. So I really think that if voting is that voice, and he's talking about get up, do something, you must speak up, then to me, he is a living example of courage and faith through right action. And that's what we should do. It's what you guys do all the time. It's how you live your life. It's what's infused in your work. And it's how we should all think of ourselves as vessels for change. And everyday ordinariness turns into extraordinary measures if done consistently.
Listen, I am a graduate of the Medgar Evers College of the City University of New York. People don't even talk about Medgar Evers anymore, who was killed for his work in voting rights. C.T. Vivian, who died the day after John, and the work that he did. We're talking Ella Baker. We're talking, you know, there are so many of our ancestors. I consider these community ancestors that left us with a legacy and left us, that sacrificed their lives. We couldn't sacrifice 2 months in the house to get our heads together. We spent the time worrying about what the corona was going to do. Would you rather have a white man with a dog, a gun, and a wand beating you in your head, or some corona that you can't see? Stay your butt home and pray and get
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Absolutely. I co-sign on that. I'm down with that. Yes.
You know, so this is the time. Okay, so let's just go ahead and talk about it. Let's just go ahead and call my soror. Okay, I'm a nasty girl. I'm a nasty girl, and I'm voting for my block. Okay, I am.
I know that's right.
And not just because she's a woman of color, but because I see what's happening. I see why her presidential bid didn't work. See, this is the thing that concerns me. People say they believe in God and they pray to God and they do all of this. And then when the universe turns and things show up, we got an opinion. They ain't gonna unnominate her now. Why are we talking about the craziness that we're talking about? It tearing her. You know what I did? The day I heard, I got on the phone. I called 21 prayer warriors. I said, every morning, I want you all on the phone. I don't care if it's for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Keep her covered. Keep her covered. You understand? Because that energy that's coming at her. And now we got this opinion and that. She's here. Instead of looking at what she did 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I didn't need an underwire bra, damn it. I need one today. You know, instead of looking at what she did and what she didn't do, what is the ask? What are we asking for? And how can we affirm the good? Dr. Betty Shabbat said, find the good and praise it.
Oh, thank you.
Find
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Because we got to stop talking about she's a cop and what she did. When we're so busy doing that, we're not formulating the ask for her and President Biden so that when they get in there, we can hold them accountable. That's what John Lewis did. That's what Medgar Evers did. That's what C.T. Vivian did. They had an ask and they held people accountable to the ask. We got an opinion and a pot belly from sitting on the couch watching TV.
Miss Tina, what you think? That's real.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, at this point, those conversations actually erode a very critical, distract from a very critical time. I don't care. I think that that there's a post floating around on social media from Ava and Ava DuVernay, and I think it's brilliant because what it highlights is all the things that Trump is doing.
Yes.
You know, so let's focus on what Trump is doing and that impact on our lives and move forward instead of being, as Iyanla is saying, stuck, you know, not just stuck in tearing her down, but not taking that moment to consider that all of us are very different with different opinions. We've grown up, you know, in 20 years. Hopefully we have grown up. Hopefully we have refined our thinking. Hopefully we have new ideas. And the moment, right, this moment is for us to come together and vote Trump out of office, period.
Well, as an activist and a woman, Erika, what is your vision? What is your prayer? What is your energy? Because this is, that's what you do.
Well, you know what, I'm taking my cue from, I think, again, as you say, people who come before and people who exist today. I'm talking about what, you're exactly right, to focus on the ask and what we can do now. I happened to have been her surrogate for her presidential run. And I saw how difficult it was for people to have this conversation. The hardest conversations I had about her were with Black people who were so stuck and, you know, all this or that. And I said, well, send a cop to catch a thief, y'all. There's a thief up in the White House. As far as I'm concerned, she is created for this moment. I don't have time to be talking about all this other stuff you're talking about, especially because, as Cheryl Lee Ralph said, she was upholding the law. She didn't make the law. You might pay attention to your local laws. If you were 3 strikes, you're out. And that made her a decent, good prosecutor. It didn't make her want to do the things that you're accusing her of. And I'm not even sure that you're right about those things, but you're not ready to be right. You're ready to have an argument, while meanwhile people die and those types of things. But I do think the systems that they're talking about, the systems that Iyanla is talking about, and you, Tina, we have to destroy it to its core. If white people created that system, laws, the policies, the financial networks, all those things to oppress us, and it's doing it so well, and we're sitting up here having this side argument about, then you're not serious. The systemic change we need is her. It's not just her face, it's her being there, but also it's everything that she represents coming with her. And all politics is local, so maybe you might pay attention to that. But also, as Reverend Barber says, we're talking about fusion politics now. For the future, we have to bring coalitions to this. So y'all playing games where everybody else is playing, you know, on a real field, a gladiator's field. And I think that those people who talk the most, frankly, they don't even vote. So why am I wasting my time with you now?
Listen, I just got a note from
You go,
Donna
girl.
Brazil. Got a note from Donna Brazil, because what I sent Donna Brazil the other day, because like I said, y'all talking Democrat and Republican, red and black, white and all that stuff. I'm talking spirit. So I went in and looked up Kamala's name from the ancient Corinthian library. Ka is the essence of spirit. La is rebirth or renewal, and Ma is profound transformation. So her name means the profound transformation of the spirit of humanity. I said, I'm gonna vote for that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I started my legal career as a prosecutor in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office under Robert Morgenthau with Dan Rather and John F. Kennedy Jr. We all took the New York bar together, and we all practiced in the same office. Now I left. I went to the domestic violence unit. I wanted to prosecute the domestic violators, but I had 2 cases, and I said, okay, this is not working for me. So I left, and I went to Philly. I left and went to Philly to become a public defender, where I spent every day in jail, although I ain't never been arrested for nothing. So I used to be a prosecutor, okay? Because the thing is, as an attorney, your job is to uphold the law. And we need Black faces in the prosecutor's office, because there are people over there who are being falsely prosecuted. And the prosecutors who are conscious know that everybody don't need a deal. They don't need 50 years in jail. So it's just about upholding the law. So as you said, Erika, we didn't make the law. Most of us don't even know the law.
Don't even know it.
Prosecutor, it has the power and the capacity to keep the law in order, particularly for those who look like us. So everybody don't have to be a defense attorney. I started as a prosecutor. Okay.
And they would prosecute you for every little thing that you've done, and not the person that you are now.
Okay. Illegal eyeballing. Illegal eyeballing.
Okay, so here's an opportunity, Erika, to speak to our audience about how you would recommend that they move forward in these times. Because I think a lot of times people behave out of ignorance, right? And so what would you share with our audience, aside from the importance of voting? How else might you direct them so that we can begin to build a more informed, a more open, a more literate community who can critically think and make new choices?
And thanks for asking. I think that we need to just not pacify ourselves talking about and getting all worked up about anthems or Juneteenth or all these things. And, I don't know if anybody watches Khaleesi in Game of Thrones, but she didn't want to just stop the White Walker zombies that were seeking to destroy them. She was trying to break the will. We have to break the will. And that's a long game. That's not sitting up here, being caught in the weeds. And so I would suggest to people that the first thing they need to do is pay attention to the history around them. There are things that have pointed to the fact that they might not have done enough, probably have not, to change things on the ground before they point the finger. If they want to lift the community, they first have to start with themselves and their families, inside of their jobs, certainly in how they vote, how they pay attention to who they support, monetarily and or volunteer-wise. Also, how you speak matters. If you can't speak anything wonderfully positive into existence, then you should at least examine your negative attitudes, because I think that we don't know where we get them, and we regurgitate Republican talking points like we are puppets and not responsible toward them. And we have to take care of that, because as Black people, we have to be careful, because there's a lot of misinformation. So that's what I would do. And lastly, I would think about John Lewis, who, by the way, who has a great origin story. He is the son of sharecroppers. He preaches to the chickens. He writes to Martin Luther King. He's the boy from Troy. He studies nonviolence. He gets on that bridge and he recovers. He gets his ass whooped. He recovers. He returns. That's the point of him. It's not that he got on the bridge. It's that he kept coming back. And I'd like to say something, because he passed away, a lot of these really amazing Who's Left freedom fighters have been talking, and Jesse Jackson was being interviewed on NPR, and they said, tell us about John Lewis. He said, well, Rosa Parks said that he did the heavy lifting. He said that meant that he was willing to take the beatings, the most beatings. And he didn't just go into 1 day or 2 days or 1 hour, he's out. He stayed like a month in prison doing hard labor, breaking rocks, and he got up and went again. And so when you are determined to change things, I ask myself over and over again, what am I willing to do? Yes. You should be able to say what you're willing to do. And after a while, show some receipts.
You know what? Here's one thing people need to do, because my family's doing it. We're doing it as a family and as individuals. I'm writing my congressperson and my senator to let them know that I want them to open their mouth about mail-in voting. This has to happen. If you are in New York and the Bronx, do you know they have over 1,000 mailboxes chained up in the Bronx? You need to write your congressperson, your city council person. You can do it email. You can do it a hard mail. I'm doing it snail mail and email, and tell them you want a mailbox. We have to, these are the asks. These are the asks. And the other thing everybody needs to do right now, tomorrow, is you need to go to your voting office and make sure you haven't been purged from the rolls.
Yes, please.
Because that is how they're going to get us. And if you've got an 18-year-old that has just turned 18, that is ready to vote, take them to the office and register them. Don't do it through the mail. Get your happy ass on a bus, a train, a car, a Uber, a Lyft, and go to the voting office. Those are some clear things that we can do. Would that be accurate, Ms. Erika?
Absolutely. In fact, that's really what's on. You're on right on message. So thank you. Thank you. I'm still talking about the feeling, but you talking about real actions. Thank you.
We got to have an ask. And like you said, we have to question these negative messages that we receive. From a spiritual perspective, the energy is so high right now. If we wanted to, we could fly. You know, like Nikki Giovanni said, we could fly like birds. That's how high the energy is. So for us to entertain anything less than the ideal vision of what we want is a waste of power and a disgrace of our ancestors. A disgrace. It's a disgrace. I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah.
What else?
No, my God.
Yeah. So, Erika, we would love to hear about Color Farm Media, you know, and
okay.
Or we actually would love to hear what, you know, is on your heart, and has your passion. Of course, we've just talked about the election that's coming up. We know that that is foremost in most of our minds. But anything else that you can share about your life? Because I love the fact that you have this diverse way of contributing to the planet.
Well, thank you. I guess what would be on my heart, and it would be mixed in with what Color Farm Media is. So Color Farm Media is the company that I created nearly 4 years ago. And our goal was to change the face of media. We call ourselves the Motown of film, television, and tech. And we're trying to take that model that Berry Gordy had, that they used to successfully build other big brands, whether they were hip hop brands and those types of things, and sort of say that there is no pipeline problem. There are plenty of Black and brown and disabled and these types of things. They're there, creators waiting, but they don't have access. They don't have the resources, and they're undermined by that. That's a system that's, you know, has to be dealt with, because I truly believe that the narrative that we've told ourselves up to this point has created the murder narrative to kill Black people in broad daylight, film it, and think that you won't be held accountable. That's a story that white people, white men were told from a long time. He's right to think that. The thing is that if we can create new storylines, then that means that George Floyd will be seen as a person who has something to contribute. Ahmaud Arbery is running. He's not running as a burglar. He's running because he's healthy and fit. And that could be our possible next senator and or Olympian or whatever we feel. Right now, it's the story we told ourselves, and not we, but you know, the white male narrative for all these decades and centuries that has created this nigger mentality. And it's the story we continue to seed and tell ourselves as Black women or everything, that we're not in charge of our bodies, that we're just these lusty things that are meant to be disrespected and left for dead, and they'll take care of everything. That's not true. We do need self-care. We do need love, and we should demand it. We have to ask ourselves how. So that's what Color Farm Media is. Right now, we're working on a reparations documentary with Alderman Robin Rue Simmons. And Robin Rue Simmons passed the first reparations bill in history. So while everybody's talking about it, she's being about it. Also, it follows Sheila Jackson Lee. Sheila Jackson Lee is on passing HR 40. We started filming Juneteenth last year, and we're, making that documentary. We're doing all sorts of things. We're making a movie about the Boys Choir of Harlem. We are in partnership with people because that's how we'll build. We're too small to sustain ourselves any other way. We've been bootstrapped this whole time. Why? Because 0.02% of Black female-led companies get investment. That's disgusting. So Natty Molino Nino, who does Leapfrog, these types of people who are speaking to that problem, they need to be lifted into space. And we need to make sure that that investment is getting there, not just for creators, but for all sorts of women. 8 to 10 out of the new businesses started come from women of color. And yet we have 0.02% investment. They're not even investing in their future. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm passionate about. If they want to talk about it takes a village, no, it'll take a nation to get what's wrong right now. And the first thing you should start are Black women. So I got to give my hats off to Kamala and to your soror sister. And she will be in my thoughts always, because I believe in who she is and what she can bring.
And this is what the universe is presenting us at this time. We can't keep saying that we believe in God and we believe in sovereignty, and then we look at what shows up. It's not like we can get anybody else they're not going
right.
So we either go with it or we go with the alternative. So we have to stop spewing this derogatory energy out in the play. And I don't say don't question her, and I don't say don't challenge her positions. I'm not saying lick her face and just accept her because she's there. But what is the ask? What is the ask? And what are we stating? And we can't even ask our congressperson to make sure that these ballots get sent to us. I'm going to get mine. They don't have to send me nothing. I got my name is Glorious, and I'm going to put my happy behind in there and go right up to the voting office, because that's where I vote anyway. I go in there every election day, and here I be. Where's my stuff? Okay.
Man, I got to say thank you to both of you. Thank you so much. My ask is that you keep me in your hearts and always in your thoughts. And I think about you often. I'm not even kidding you about how I can go forward and the expectations of me. And I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done. And I really appreciate the invitation to talk about Good Trouble and all the stuff I'm doing. Thanks.
I think that it's good for people to see you, they know Max and they know you on the screen. And sometimes people want to pigeonhole us and they think that's all that they are.
He
was in the street. And this was before Barack was nominated, but it was 2008 when we were in the street. So I'm glad people got an opportunity to see this.
So Erika, hopefully we will have this opportunity to talk with you again. You are a wealth of information. You are a light, and we definitely wish you the best. Thank you for spending time with us here at Love from a Distance.
Thank you. And before they pick up Iyanla on a 5150 for being crazy, talking to food and naming all her stuff, I did name my car Ghost. So I can deep bow.
Be well. Be well.
Yes. I'm so glad that people got a chance to hear her. I mean, she is
for sure.
House, okay.
Yes, she is.
But come on. I said, oh, okay, come on.
Yes. I loved that she and you gave the audience something that they can do aside from those very tactical things. And I ask you to walk through them again. But the other thing that she gave our audience that they can do is to take a moment and ask, what will you do? How will you be part of the solution? And I encourage everyone listening to really take her up on that question and answer it for yourself. Put it in your journal someplace. And whatever you write down, whatever you come up with, hold yourself accountable to that. Iyanla, please.
Again, I'm going to say we need to, first of all, check our registration. Check your voting registration. If you can't call on the phone, find out where your local voting office is, go there and make sure you haven't been purged from the rolls. And when you go, take your license, take your passport, take your bank statement, take your utility bill, because these are all of the barriers that they're gonna put up so that we can't register to vote. If you have someone that has just turned 18, I think they had to be 18 in April or May, and is now eligible to vote, take them to the office and get them registered. Do not do it through the mail. That's something else. Then write your congressman, write your congressperson, write your senator, write your city council person, write your ombudsman, write whoever you need to write, and let them know that you want to hear their voice supporting universal mail-in ballots. We are in the middle of a freaking pandemic, okay? And we need to we need to support those who are representing us, and we need to have a clear ask. I want universal voting. I want to know your position on it. Write them, email them, write them, call their office. That's something else we can do. The other thing, they passed a law and they said that they're not going to be removing the mailboxes in the West, but they've already started removing them in the East. So if you in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Philly, Detroit, Chi-Town, Atlanta, you can't find a blue mailbox. Yeah, you want our mailboxes put out, because that's where we're going to put our ballots if we do the universal mailing. So we've got to make sure that those ballots are there. Can I tell you this very quickly? Every Christmas, every single Christmas, on Christmas Eve, I cook lunch for the workers in my post office. They'll tell you that.
I love that.
Cook it, I take them plates and knives and forks and everything, because I need my mail. Okay, and they are not treated well all the time. You can call right over there and ask them. I won't tell you where, because then you know where I live. But what can we do to support them? What can we do to support the postal workers who, with this craziness, dismantling of machines and sending out empty trucks? Okay, people, we need to buckle up. Buckle up.
Yeah,
and be willing to piss some people off. How about that?
We all have to do something. And so Iyanla has just given a wonderful list of to-dos. Don't feel overwhelmed. Choose one. Choose one. Just do something. That's the way in which we all can actually honor our ancestors and honor the John Lewises who have come before us. We, Iyanla and I, are incredibly appreciative of the time that you have given us, the way you show up, the way you give us your heart and let us into your heart. We thank you for that. And we ask that you just keep coming back, and that you take this episode and anything that you can pull from any of the other episodes and literally let it enhance and brighten your life. Yeah. Join us over at YouTube, at our YouTube channel. You will find, if you are actually in our virtual audience, you will find the link in the chat box. Iyanla, again, I thank you for being Iyanla Vanzant, for showing up. And would you please bless us out of here?
Deep bow. Deep bow.
Deep bow.
Have some good trouble this week. Have a clear ask, and remember to vote. And go check out good John Lewis Good Trouble forever.
Yes.
Blow it up.
Yes.
Blow it up. Blow
yes.
it up.
You can actually find Good Trouble on YouTube. Just go and type it in YouTube, and I think it's a nominal like $6. It is so worth the investment. and the hour and 30 minutes that the film, the length of the film. It's wonderful.
Here's one other thing I want you to do. When we post this, I want everybody in the chat, everybody who's with us tonight, to share it, because I want people to see the mastery, the elegance, the excellence that we call Erika Alexander.
That's exactly right. I'm there with you. I'm there with you. Bye-bye. Good night.